Welcome back, everyone. So, patch 9.1 is here. You've probably seen Korthia in the Maw, and you might be thinking, uh-oh, new features, new things, new currencies, lots of currencies. What do I do? Well, today we'll help you. So, Korthia, the City of Secrets pulled into the Maw, is this patch's new zone. And in essence, it's a lot of Maw with a few sprinklings of Nazjatar and Mechagon. This zone is where you'll be spending most of your non-instanced time in patch 9.1, so now's the time to learn how the whole thing works. And it's interesting because conceptually there's nothing too new here, but you will have to strap in because it does get a bit complicated. So by the end of this video, you will understand the systems of Korthia and the Maw, and more importantly, you're going to know what you should actually be doing in the zone to meet your goals. We've got some handy checklists for you as well. And hey, while you're doing all that world content, why not listen to our Patreon podcast, where we've got, right now, 2 chunky episodes of lore walking up. We've got 2 episodes of general chat, 2 Losing Our Marbles episodes, and we've got another lore walking coming. It is on the Caverns of Time, and it will be very fun. And also, everything else we do on Patreon, like, hey, merch. So, hours of content, and I just dropped that. Whatever. Let's go. The link to join Patreon's down there. Let's get into the guide. First and foremost, the reason that you'll be in Korthia is to continue the Shadowlands campaign. Every week, some more campaign will open up for you. Now, this is gated by renown, so do make sure to do your renown quests after the reset and then head straight to Korthia. Most excitingly though, this is how you unlock flying, because when week 2 rolls around, finish Korthia chapter 4, and there you go, you'll be flying in the Shadowlands. Just not the skies of Korthia, you can only fly in the original 4 Covenant zones. Now, if you are coming in on a new character, you will have to get your renown at 44 and your Covenant campaign complete before week 2, so keep that bit in mind to get flying nice and quick. Now, the later chapters are gated heavily by renown, so come back every week for another chapter up until August 17th, which is when the final chapter of the storyline unlocks. One of the most simple parts of Korthia is the new faction of Death's Advance, who are a mixture of Covenant champions and the Ebon Blade who are pushing their way into Korthia to fight off the Jailer. Now, this is the most easily recognizable part of the Korthia experience because you increase your reputation with this faction via weeklies and then daily content in the Zone of Korthia. As your reputation goes up, you'll be able to purchase more items from Duchess Minx for fat stacks of Stygia. Right away, though, you can actually purchase Korthian armaments, which are random rolling gear tokens that you can send to your alts. Now, these create gear that can be upgraded, more on that later. And they cost 1,000 Stygia a pop, and we found you can get like 2k Stygia a day, by sort of just doing all of this stuff. Now, at Friendly, you can buy a Vault Tracker, and this will let you find stolen anima within the Maw. At Honored, 2,000 Stygia will let you buy a piece of item level 220 Domination gear, which is going to be great for many players, and then also the Crafter's Mark for item level 200 crafted gear. As for the cosmetics, then there is plenty with this faction because each Covenant has a transmog set and a mount at Exalted Rep. They also sell a cosmetic cloak, a pet, a tabard, and the Amber Shard Hide mount. But just make sure you're backing up a lot of Stygia for those because they are not cheap. Now, if you're an avid collector, Death's Advance also does have a Paragon rep bar, which has got 2 mounts and a pet attached to it. Death's Advance is the easy one, right? That's just a traditional rep. But now we've got to talk about the Archivist's Codex, which is really something quite new. It's a new reputation, it's a constant drip feed of lore hints, it's a grindable currency, it is your catch-up gear, your socket upgrades, your conduit upgrades, and more. There's a lot tied up in it. Basically, right, the Archivists are searching for secrets in the City of Secrets, and you earn your reputation with these guys by doing just that. Nearly everything you do in Korthia gives you items called relic fragments, and these can be turned in to the NPCs for a currency that is called catalogued research. And for every 2 catalogued research that you get from a hand-in, you will get 1 reputation as well. Now note that this isn't a standard, like, friendly to exalted reputation. Instead, it has 6 ranks in total. So that's the format. Let's talk about what the research gets you. So, what's the point in engaging with the Archivist's Codex? What are the rewards? Well, like with Venari in Season 1 of Shadowlands, this is your source of endgame conduit upgrades and extra sockets on your gear. It also offers the recipe for the item level 230 Crafter's Mark, which will basically let you wear 1 piece of level 230 crafted gear, and also a single piece of 239 Domination gear, a cosmetic cloak, a mount, and a ton of upgrades for the zone of Korthia. Now, all of this stuff costs catalog research, and plenty of it. Oh, and it's also the way that you upgrade your Korthia gear. So in a few words, cataloged research is kind of like mana pearls, but turned up to 11. So, let's talk about that Korthia gear then. Like mana pearls in Nazjatar, Korthia gear can be imbued with cataloged research to upgrade its power. Now, it does lack a cool title like Benthic gear or the priceless little sort of add-on that it has on Tazavesh gear, but basically, all gear that drops from Korthia, the Maw, and from the Korthian armaments, all that gear can go from eye level 200 all the way up to eye level 233. Now, the upgrade potential here is going to be limited by your rank with the Archivist Codex. And that basically means you'll be getting a gradual increase in power as you come back and play more and, upgrade the Codex more. So here is a table of the research costs and the ranks required. Now, the last 2 ranks are actually gated behind Renown and a big catalog research investment. So do not expect to upgrade to 226 or 233 for a few months at least, and we do mean months as you're going through that Renown bar. Now, if you're doing Mythic Plus or Heroic raids, being real with you, this system will quickly become irrelevant. But if you are gearing slowly and you don't do that instanced content, then this will be a nice way to keep specific slots up to a decent level. Also, as your renown and item level increases, these items will actually begin to drop at 207 and 213 instead of 200, so that will save you some upgrades. So that's the catch-up gear, but there's also catch-up for conduits as well. So gear can drop randomly from things here, and so too can conduit upgrade items. These items will randomly pick one of your lowest conduits and upgrade it by 6 to 7 item levels up to a maximum of 226. Yes, eye level 226. You should try to get all of your conduits up to at least 226 before you actually use the conduit upgrade items that are sold by the Codex for the cataloged research, just so you don't spend like a big expensive conduit upgrade item on something that is below 226. You should use the catch-up items to get them to 226 because they're more plentiful. Okay, let's talk about how you can actually get this research. So with all of that covered, what do you actually do in Korthia then? How do you get reputation, relics, research, and everything? Well, at the beginning, I said that this had sprinklings of 8.2 zones, but that it is primarily the Maw with a bit of extra spice. So beyond weeklies and dailies, the brunt of the gameplay is the usual WoW trifecta: rares, treasures, and events. There are a ton of these scattered across the zone of Korthia, and each of these that you complete will grant you a chance at gear, a chance at a conduit upgrade, and some relic fragments. Now, these relic fragments do come in individual fragments that are worth 1 research each, or larger relics that are worth anywhere between 8 and 300, depending on the rarity. This does mean that outside of weeklies and dailies, Korthia is quite similar to other patch zones. Basically, install handy notes, tour the zone, doing whatever looks cool, kill the rares every day, and try to soak in that atmosphere. Some of them, the rares, have got their own mounts and pets and cosmetics attached as well, so you will be getting plenty of neat things. Now, there are one-time relic hand-ins as well, and these are ways to target an extra chunk of research every time you rank up. And getting all 20 of these will actually earn you an achievement, although doing so may take you a little while indeed. So each research rank that you get with the Archivist Codex gives you access to a new item or zone upgrade from the Archivist, and you'll need some of these to actually access the later relics. And to give you an example here, the rank 2 relics require 1 Korthite crystal key each to unlock their chests, and at rank 5, you need to purchase the Ancient Shrines Research Report in order to activate pathways, which will then lead you to some of those relics. So these are kind of reminiscent of Warlords of Draenor archaeology, because as you return these relics, they will actually show up by the Archivist, like in their little cave area, and they'll have detailed descriptions. So, in fairness to Blizz here, it's a neat narrative wrapper for this Rares and Treasures gameplay, and it does actually feel like you're, helping these boys, go and unravel the secrets of Korthia. We'll cover these in depth at a later date, but there are some pretty damn heavy lore implications attached. Especially the ever-living statuette that in fact whispers to players, and we all know how much whispers are quite fun in WoW. Handy Notes will almost certainly have a 9.1 update that will show you all of this stuff in your mini-map as well as everything else, but Wowhead also does have a guide up should you need that as well, just for going through the specific locations. Because I think pausing on a YouTube video is not the ideal way to do that. But to be honest though, if you're not in a massive hurry, you might as well get a lot more enjoyment out of the zone by just scouring it for the relics yourself, at least initially. I mean, Korthia's City of Secrets title doesn't exactly feel accurate when you're reducing it down to a list of coordinates, but that's a topic for another day, and it certainly is faster if you do have a list of coordinates. Before we move on then, there is a small concept to explain to you. So, you have a total cap of 12,000 on catalogued research. So that means you can't just always get this catalogued research and just bank it on your character until you hit maximum rank. Some players would like to do that so they could save it up for, say, the socket upgrades. So by the time you hit tier 6, you'll have actually earned 26,000 catalogued research. So you'll actually need to buy plenty of gear upgrades or other items from the vendor instead of just saving it all for conduits and sockets because of that cap. So there's no real, it's not that sensible to basically just try to hoard this. The system literally doesn't let you do that. This isn't a huge deal, it's just something that, you should be wary of. So, let's move on. Right, unless you are in a big rush to get cosmetics, or you really need to push for those conduit upgrades and sockets, most of your progress is going to be coming in the form of weeklies. So, for this, there is the zone-wide weekly called Shaping Fate. This is an extremely long fill-the-bar quest that relies on doing many other activities to complete it. Now it actually gives you renown, it gives you a ton of reputation for Death's Advance and the 4 9.0 reputations. It gives you anima, it gives you Stygian Embers, which are of course for the Shards of Domination, and it will also give you, there's a lot here, the Death's Advance War Chest, which can drop Korthia gear, the Korthite crystal reagents that crafters will use, a bunch of gold, and conduits. That's a lot in one weekly. Now, one of the important things to know here is that it does take quite a lot to fill this bar, so don't rush it. It gets filled substantially from just doing your dailies and your weeklies in the maw, so I would say don't wreck yourself trying to do it in one sitting. It is something that I think Blizzard quite obviously intend to be progressed over a week. But do make sure it's finished before reset. Daily quests. Korthia has them. There are a set of rotating dailies that will give you Death's Advance rep, as well as things like gold, anima, gear, or the legendary reagent, Korthite crystals. Now, these will also progress your Shaping Fate bar, so just be sure to do these every day if you want to be, super efficient, but, the timing of those stuff is flexible enough. Now, while not dailies, we should say that the rares, treasures, and events are on daily lockouts for research, so with those, basically, do as much as you can stomach every day. That's the optimal way to do it. And before we get into our tips and tricks and our checklist that we've made for you, there is one last piece of the puzzle here. The Maw, once more, is relevant, but in a more limited way. And do remember here, you can mount up in the Maw, and the Eye of the Jailer is gone, so that's pretty sweet. Now first up, there is a new section open to us, Desmodron. I don't know how to pronounce it, vaguely that. But anyway, this is the new part of the Maw where there is a new world boss for us to kill, as well as the entrance to the raid. Elsewhere, then, there is a new weekly event. It is called Tormentors of Torghast. It's quite similar to Wrath of the Jailer and the Beast Warren's Hunt. Kel'Thuzad sends some enemies to an area. You go to that area, you kill a bunch of them, that summons in a big enemy, and you kill that enemy for rewards. Rewards such as Soul Ash, Soul Cinders, so Soul Cinders used for the new Legos, you definitely want those, or the Lego upgrades anyway, from rank 5 and 6. Also Stygia, Venari Rep, Death's Advance Rep, a chance at a Conduit, Korthia Gear, and of course, progress towards the Hand of Bathmera mount, which looks pretty sweet. So basically a whole lot. You should be doing it when you can. It's also going to reward you some more Soul Ash and mount progress if done daily. So doing it daily is useful, but doing it weekly is like the big important thing. And also the Wrath of the Jailer and Beast Warren events, those will also drop Korthia Gear, so they are a valuable thing to do if you want a bit more catch up on your character. Now, Venari also has a Paragon Rep now, so if you want a chance at a spooky looking horse that's truly awesome and a Moss-worn pet, then dive into that Maw content. And if you need more rep, Venari actually sells you 1,000 rep a week in return for 800 Stygia. Now, the last big new thing in the Maw are the Covenant Assaults. Twice a week, a Covenant will assault the Maw, kind of like a reverse of the faction invasions in Battle for Azeroth. You'll pick up 4 quests from the Covenant leader, and then you will finish a final stage of it to get a bunch of reputation with the involved Covenants and the Death's Advance, as well as a chance at Korthia Gear, some Soul Cinders, Stygia, and, if you are behind, up to 2 Renown levels. So it really is quite rewarding indeed. If you're overwhelmed, don't worry, here's a quick recap. You have the Archivist Codex, a reputation that you progress via relic drops from rares, treasures, and events in Korthia. Along with the rep, you get a currency called Catalogued Research. You can spend that on plenty of cosmetics, but primarily it is used for upgrading Korthia Gear, as well as getting your conduit and socket upgrades at max rank. Use Handy Notes Shadowlands to check where everything is for a quick guide here once it is updated for this new patch. You've also got Death's Advance, which is progress via weekly and daily quests. It will get you a bunch of cosmetics, a bit of domination socket gear, as well as a way to spend Soul Cinders on socket items. You also have weeklies to keep on top of. The Shaping Fate quest, the Tormentors of Torghast event, the twice weekly assaults, and then you've got a host of daily quests, rares, treasures, and events to clear if you have the time. Of course, focus on making sure the weeklies are done, then do the dailies if possible, and where possible, follow groups and clear everything quickly. Over in the Maw then, you of course have got a new world boss. You've got the Tormentors of Torghast event to do as well, but beyond that, you can farm up Stygia for bind on account gear tokens and Venari Paragon reputation. And to leave you with something that is a little bit more actionable to think through, here is our new favorite guide tool, checklists. Every week, you should look to ensure that these things are done. Number 1, Shaping Fate. Number 2, Tormentors of Torghast in the Maw. Number 3, 2 Covenant Assaults in the Maw. Number 4, the World Boss in Desmodron in the Maw. Then, for Stygia, mounts, pets, and extra gear, you can also do these things on a weekly basis. Number 1, your Venari Weeklies. Number 2, the Wrath of the Jailer and Beast Warren's Hunt events. And that is it for the weeklies. Now it's time for the dailies. So every day, you should be trying to get as much of this stuff done as is possible. Number 1, your Korthia daily quests. Number 2, Korthia rares, treasures, and events. Then, and these are for optional Stygia and mount progress, there are the daily quests in the Maw from Venari, the Maw rares and events, doing the Tormentors of Torghast additional times on a daily basis for soul ash and mount progression. There you go. That's the checklists. Well, this has really been quite a meaty video, hasn't it? I mean, most of it's just explaining all the little bits and bobs of Korthia, and it's kind of an oversimplification to just say, install handy notes and clear as much of the zone as is possible every single day, but also that is basically how Blizzard design these zones now, as far as the gameplay is concerned. I'd say the zone itself has got some fun elements, and I think that the relic lore is some fascinating stuff, but this video is a guide. We'll review the zone as it plays out, and we'll cover the lore in future videos. Now, if you've looked at this video and you're thinking, well, I wish there was a bit more to do, there are many mounts, so do be sure to... I don't think it'll be out yet, but in the next few days, we'll have our big mount guide up, and that will cover a bunch of extra activities for you to do in this zone. I mean, it's mainly just, specific rares and things like that. But anyway, I hope this has been helpful. I hope this has let you, in one video, basically understand what the crack is with this zone, how it actually works, and then what things that you should actually do. So that's it for me. As I said, if you want to listen to some, I think, pretty damn great podcast content, then you can check out our Patreon. I mean, Lore Walking Episode 1 is on Yogg-Saron, the God of Death. Lore Walking Episode 2 is on the Light, and it basically morphs into a very cool potential expansion, something we think Blizzard might have in the works. So there's a bunch of fun there that I hope you enjoy. Okay, have a wonderful day. Best of luck to you and your guilds in patch 9.1, and I'll see you next time.